Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Horns Report on KXAN Plus. I'm your host, Billy Gates, and in case you were hiding under a rock out of the country or anywhere else without the internet, the Texas Longhorns defeated the Texas A&M Aggies 27-17 in the Lone Star Showdown on Saturday at DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. That spoils A&M's undefeated season, their SEC title hopes, but they're still probably getting in the CFP playoffs. We'll get to all of that in a second, but for now, let's talk about the game with KXAN Sports Director Roger Wallace. And Roger, we were both there. I was outside in the elements. You were inside in a radio booth.
We're open air. I mean, we felt it.
Anyway, I'm not complaining. I was anyway. We saw perhaps the most complete game that Texas has played all season. They were able to get pretty good functions out of the passing game, out of the run game. Defensively, they were good. It was the best all around game that I think we've seen all season. Roger, just kind of take me through your thought process, especially that second half where the Texas offense really kind of turned it on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. First half, kind of had visions of Florida and Kentucky with offensive struggles, putting up just 3 points. But the defense did enough to keep minute. And then 28 and a half minutes into that game, or maybe even more than that, the Aggies get that touchdown. You're thinking, okay, they got the touchdown, they got the 7-point lead, and they get the ball to start the second half. If that offense gets rolling with Marcel Reed, it could be a 2-score game before Texas gets the ball back. And it didn't happen. Longhorns get it back. They get a field goal, get another stop, get a touchdown. And from there, obviously, they had that big second half. But, yeah, did everything, primarily the run game. I know that's going to be a big topic today.
Yeah.
But the fact that they did that was able to mask a passing game that made plays but wasn't terribly consistent.
Sure.
But, again, when you have a run game, when you go for 155 from Trey Wisner,
Right.
Arch Manning helped himself out with the run as well. And then you mix in some big plays with the pass game. We saw more of Jack Endries than we've seen in a while. But the big story was, especially in the second half, was Wisner. And then you have to also consider what the offensive line did against a really good defense. You just can't figure this out. Arkansas has given up 180 yards on the ground. Longhorns can't run them. Aggies are giving up 119 yards on the ground. Longhorns have a huge day running the ball. So there's no logic to it other than they were playing really well. And they put up the big numbers in the second half with 24 points. They showed a little bit of razzle-dazzle with that Nick Townsend tight end around.
I was hoping to catch that one.
Yeah, they got everybody fired up. So, they did what they had to do against the number 3 team in the country to make their best possible statement, knowing that was going to be their final game before 2 college football playoff rankings come out, one tomorrow, and then obviously the only one that really counts on Sunday.
Yeah, and we saw in those clips there, going back to the run game, we'll get to CFP here in a second. Wisner, his best game, he saves his best games for Texas A&M, apparently. He had 186 against them last season, something like that.
Over 180.
Yeah, over 180
155.
On 33 carries. He was a workhorse that night there in College Station. At DKR this past Saturday, 19 totes, 155, didn't get in the end zone, but man, he made some crazy runs that he hasn't made all season.
Well, no running back has 48-yarder to get that drive started in the second half. That was the longest run of the season. And then he iced the game with a long run, had a couple of runs, 16, 13 yards.
Yeah.
Just makes life so much easier for the offense because Arch Manning was getting pressured, but you get a little run game going,
Sure.
and it's going to open things up. And Sark got a little creative as well. But
Yeah.
I thought the play that exemplified Arch's growth was one that he nearly airmailed, and that was the touchdown to Ryan Wingo.
Yeah.
Because September Arch probably just tucks it and sees what he can get. He probably would have gotten decent yardage, but for him to kind of have the presence and then not overthrow it. Boy, from our vantage point, looked like he did overthrow it, but Wingo was able to climb the ladder and make that catch, and obviously that was a huge play in the ball game. So a little bit of everything. The defense didn't make the huge plays, 1 sack, but they got the 2 picks in the second half, and they held the Aggies at bay. Marcel Reed got a little nicked up and then came back in the ball game, and they did what you have to do. They made him a little uncomfortable. When you think about the first pick that Michael Taff had, it was because they got a little pressure up the middle, I think, and he underthrows it. So, they did what they had to do. And when you look at the Oklahoma game, big special teams play, but only one offensive touchdown. You look at the Vanderbilt game, better game offensively, but then that kind of a collapse in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden they're having to cover onside kicks. So from that perspective, their third top 10 win, you're right, I think was the most complete.
Yeah, it really felt like it was a little more connected, even with the inconsistency in the passing game early on. 35 carries, 218 yards on the ground for Texas, 2 touchdowns, one from Nick Townsend, that 2-yard tight end around. That was really fun. And then the Arch Manning 35-yard quarterback draw that was the backbreaker for the Aggies. Puts Texas up multiple scores in the fourth quarter. They end up winning the ball game 27-17. We didn't have Steve Sarkisian Monday. He did not do a press conference with the local media, but we have stuff from post-game on Saturday. And here's Steve talking about Quintravion Wisner and the run game sort of in general. So here's Steve about that.
Steve, I asked you Monday about the running game and the struggles that you had gone through. How proud of you or what they were able to do tonight as a whole, and then obviously what Quintravion was able to do.
Yeah, I really just felt like there was a couple keys for this game, and the run game was one of them. And I do a film on Friday night with the offense, talking about our openers and what we're going to call and why we're calling it. And we purposely put probably 3 to 5 carries of Trey last year in this game, just to give him a little friendly reminder of who he is and what he's capable of. And I thought he ran hard. I thought he ran physical. I thought we didn't block it perfect. They're a good defensive football team. We didn't block it perfect all the time, but man, they blocked some things really well to get him in space and get him into the open field. And then obviously I think Arch's legs helped us tremendously tonight too. So I think to rush for, I think it was just about 200 yards or so. I don't know exactly what it was, but 218 was huge for us. We controlled the game that way. I think we put them in some stressful situations offensively because our ability to possess the football. And then ultimately the turnovers became the turnovers. Like at the end of the day, we're a top 10 team in the country when it comes to turnover margin. We were plus 10 coming in. We're plus 12 now. And I think they were -5 coming into the game. And we felt like that could be a factor in which this was a way we could win the game. But we had to make sure we possessed it and ran the ball.
It's hard to believe, Roger, that this was the first 100-yard game from a Texas running back this season, and waited till game 12. I'm considering last season, the offensive line performance from a year ago, and how dedicated and how committed Sarkisian is to running the football. It kind of just blows my mind even thinking about it.
Well, he had a pretty good game against Ohio State, 86 yards, but then he goes down for 2 games. C.J. Baxter got a little nicked up, so that was obviously part of the issue. But it's just been inconsistent with that offensive line combined with running backs either being a little nicked up or just, Trey Wisner is not a game breaker. He's a tough, hard running back. You give him a little crease like we saw a few times on Friday night, he's going to make you pay, but he's not going to run away from anybody. They had that last year with Jaden Blue. You think of the Clemson game in the playoff, and he had the long touchdown run. So it was kind of a perfect storm for maybe a struggle in the run game. But again, they needed it against Texas A&M, and they got it. Seemed like the conditions weren't as conducive for throwing the ball as some other games. It was a little bit breezy, a little bit rainy. So they needed that big game from Trey Wisner, and I think he had to get pretty sizable amount of yards just to get to 500 yards.
Yeah.
Can you believe that they were at risk of not having a back or a quarterback that rushed for 500 yards, but he took care of that. But, that's been one of the issues, and that's when we move on to the discussion, are they playoff worthy?
Sure.
And people say, well, what about the eye test? And I think part of the eye test is it's a team that's offensively just been a little bit limited, and part of that is they couldn't, for any consistency, just run it down teams' throats, which makes you look so much better and so much more physical.
Right, absolutely. I mean, that's the kind of basis of football, right? Dominating the line of scrimmage, being able to run the ball when the other team knows what you're going to do. And finally, Texas was more or less able to do that against Texas A&M. So, we'll see what the College Football Playoff Selection Committee thinks on Tuesday when they update. It's their second to last update of their rankings. And then they'll make their final rankings, and then they will seed the field on Sunday after all of the conference championship games are over, which Texas is not taking part of. That's another Georgia and Alabama installment for the SEC title on Saturday there in Atlanta. Can't say I'm surprised with those two teams playing for another SEC title, huh, Roger?
Well, how about Alabama from losing to Florida State?
Yeah,
to playing
maybe
for,
that part may be
playing
surprising,
for the
yeah.
SEC championship.
Yeah.
But what does it say? And I know there's a lot of great things about college football.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Sunday was one of the really bad things with the coaching dominoes. But what does it say when you think, well, maybe it's good that Team X doesn't have to play in their conference championship game? I mean, that kind of goes back to the basketball format of if you know you're in, why would you want to play 4 games in 4 days?
Right.
And then 5 days later have to start an NCAA tournament run. So that's, to me, a little bit of the flawed system there is that it devalues even more so. Now, coaches are going to say, and Sark beat his chest about an SEC championship and how valuable it is, and everybody that has a chance to play for one is going to say that. But I know Texas A&M wanted to play in the college football or in the SEC championship game because they've never done it before. But they don't want a second loss going into the playoffs, and that could have happened against Georgia.
And maybe Marcel Reed gets a little more nicked up in that game.
That's right.
Maybe, maybe they end up losing because they've already lost Le'Veon Moss. I'm not sure his availability for anything in the future. He didn't play against Texas. That was a big loss out of the backfield. It really put Reuben Owens in a bit of a bind.
Is there a better example than Georgia last year?
Right, exactly.
They were the national champion favorites until that play before the half.
Yeah.
And Carson Beck gets knocked out. So if you talk about how physical the SEC is and you're a playoff team, why would you want to play another 60 minutes of physical football if you know you're in the playoff? And a lot of people will scoff at that because you get to hang a banner and et cetera. But remember last year, the two national championship teams in the finals, neither played for a conference title. Notre Dame couldn't. Ohio State didn't. And they managed to do okay without the first round bye.
They did all right.
Yeah.
As much to the chagrin of Texas fans. The 27-17 over A&M in the Lone Star Showdown. Obviously, school pride. You want to keep that Texas-shaped trophy in town. They're able to do so. So good on them. They needed that to reinsert themselves into the college football playoff discussion. It's still a long shot, Roger. All the things that needed to happen after Texas played on Friday, all things needed to happen on Saturday. All those teams above them in the rankings that needed to lose. Bumpkus. Absolutely nothing went the Longhorns' way. The only team ranked above them who lost was Michigan, and they lost to Ohio State.
Right.
So that wasn't really going to be that much of an issue. So it kind of seems like, Roger, that it's still a pretty far-fetched idea that Texas is going to move up enough after that win over A&M, who was ranked number 3 at the time. So, I mean, we're in that wait and see period until the committee releases their update on Tuesday. I believe it is 6 Central is when that selection show starts. So it's just we kind of just have to speculate now and wait for the cool graphics on ESPN to show up.
Well, I mean, the AP poll's been pretty close. Now, it could get different now because the humans in the room, and they look at what they're supposed to be voting on, and the AP poll's not setting up a 12-team playoff. Here's a question to you, Billy. You're A&M or you're Texas, and you could say, okay, you win that game Friday night, but you're going to lose in the first round of the playoff, or you lose that game and you're going to advance to at least the quarterfinals of the playoff. I'm not so sure either side would say, we'll take the win and not worry about the playoff.
Sure.
Because if we're not going to play for a national championship, The only thing we want more than that
Right.
is to beat A&M
Sure.
or Texas.
Yeah. Fill in the rival here, right? That
I mean,
is
a quarter. You don't hang a banner for a quarterfinal
right.
appearance in the playoff. That my point
Exactly,
is.
yeah.
My point is that
First
that
round
something
CFP.
something came out of this for
Right.
Texas that
Sure.
means a lot, and the Aggies will say we've got bigger things to play for.
Yeah.
But they know that they let a great chance slip away, and now they got to hear about it for another year before
Right.
Texas goes to College Station.
Right.
next year.
And
So just throwing that out there.
in the words of great Texas quarterback Sam Ellinger, A&M had their best season in 30 years and still couldn't beat Big Brother.
Yeah, and you know what? Look at Ohio State last year.
Right.
They were ready to.
Yeah, same thing.
That Ryan Day needed security, and then he's a national champion. So, not saying the Aggies can't make a run. For sure they can. I'm just saying that the college playoff provides you a path to the national title. But if you don't advance and you lose your rivalry game, you're certainly upset. Now, the committee, Billy, I'm convinced, and I've listened to all the talk shows. I've listened to everybody that's talked about it, including Sark on several different outlets today, yesterday, post game. And my fear for Texas is the number 3 is going to be the difference, no matter. And I'm not talking about the 3 wins over top 10 teams. I'm talking about the 3rd loss. And it's just an easy out for the committee to say, all right, we're eliminating that. And I say they, because it's each person has their own vote. But that's the easiest way to me, just to say, okay, take them out of the discussion, because they're still going to have some decisions to make. Because BYU and Tech play, so there's going to be a 2-loss team there. You got Miami. You've got Notre Dame, who Miami beat, but Notre Dame's ranked higher. Neither of those teams are playing this weekend. So there's still, what if Alabama loses a 3rd game? So then I think they would invoke we're not going to penalize you for your conference championship participation. So I don't see a path. I see what Sark is saying.
Yeah.
I see that they are the only ones with 3. I see that they went to Ohio State. That game's been scheduled for years, and now that brings into question what about the contracts that are still out there?
Right.
Notre Dame home and home, et cetera. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's what, gosh, yeah, it is one of those things where you could understand both sides to a certain degree, but I am with you. Like I think it is quite a long shot for them to get in. The Citrus Bowl could be fun though, but I mean that's a different story for a different day. Like that could be where they end up, but it is one of those things where like what you said.
I wasn't coughing to mock you for trying to sell.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if you have Cheez-It stock.
I wish we had a cough drop button in here for you.
And Texas hasn't been there in 2 years, so we've only been part of games that matter in the postseason.
Right.
They dress up the bowls as part of the playoffs. So you're playing in the Cotton Bowl, you're playing the Chick-fil-A, but it's a playoff game. I just don't know if these bowls can survive.
Right. It's going to be tough.
Between opt-outs and just disinterest. It's not going to be a week of festivities anymore. They've whittled it down. And I just don't know, who's going to be excited about going to Orlando on New Year's Eve afternoon and playing Michigan. You don't know what the rosters are going to look like. I don't know NIL contracts, so I don't know if they can pull the plug on NIL if players opt out of the bowl game. So do they keep that incentive? But I just don't see, other than entertainment on TV and filling up your holiday break with anything that matters in a bowl game. Yes, it would be 10 wins, but we don't look at overall records anymore. We look at, they're way more concerned about beating the Aggies for a 9th win than I think they would be beating Michigan
or some
in an
other
exhibition
Big Ten,
game for the 10th win.
So
they'll sell it. They'll say what it means. They'll say the brands, if it's Texas, Michigan, and the helmets. But they just played last year, and they're going to play in a couple of years. So that's a hard sell to get excited about, other than it's one more football game. And kind of that deal where you and I have experienced this with a lot of sports fans. Oh, there's too many bowl games. We don't need all. But then we all watch them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So in the end, they're going to watch that game.
Everybody gets in their little bowl pick'em or Survivor League or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh, there's 35 bowl games. Whatever am I going to do? You're going to sit down in front of your TV. You're going to take vacation from work and you're going to watch these games.
And, in a program like Texas State, they won 3 in a row to get to 6-6 and jump in the river and go to a bowl game. That means so much to that program.
Good for them. It's absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For teams that are just on the outside looking into the college playoff, I'm not so sure.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like worse than a consolation prize.
I mean, what do you do with a guy like Arch Manning? You want him to take 60 snaps against that Michigan defense?
Yeah,
knowing that if he's coming back, it's way more important that he's healthy.
Yeah.
So
maybe the bowls like the Citrus Bowl sponsored by Cheez-Its, maybe they need to come up with some gimmick like the Duke's Mayo Bowl. The winning coach gets mayo dumped on him. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, they toast a live mascot at the end of the game.
Would solve all that, right?
Right, sure.
If you're paying the players, then all of a sudden the incentive changes. But the bowls are fun because from the third weekend in December until the national championship game, we got a lot of football to watch. But I just don't know. It just means less.
Yeah,
we're gonna take that slogan.
I like
and flip
that.
it.
Yeah, it just means less. I mean, maybe they set up like a ball pit, like a McDonald's playpen kind of thing, but they fill it with Cheez-Its and people jump. I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas.
But
I'm just spitballing ideas here.
And the 3 losses they're the 3 losses, and the one at Florida.
Yeah.
Ironically, 2 hours away from where they might end up ending their season.
Right.
In Orlando.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yep. Those come out Tuesday, 6 Central, and then the final rankings, and then the field gets seeded. The 12-team field gets seeded on Sunday, and then we'll have our bracket, and we'll be ready to go with the college football playoff, and it's a 12-team format for the second season. I mean, I hope they don't change. I think it's fine with 12, but I mean, I see why they would want to go to more teams, but.
See, I'm different because of what we just talked about.
Sure.
There's 4 teams that are going to go to bowl games they don't care about.
Right, yeah.
Why not let them play?
Why
and
not?
you don't have to add an extra weekend.
Sure.
With 16. So
just nobody gets by, yeah.
I mean, and again, now I'm going to flip over to shilling for Texas and say,
sure.
all right, I think they've shown that they can play with everybody. So therefore, the old earn it. I get that part, but if they get in, you never know if they can make some noise. It's not 64, it's not 68, it's 16 in a year where you have 2 undefeateds. It's going to be down to 1 undefeated when Indiana, Ohio State. The schedules are so drastically different that it's hard to really measure teams until they play head-to-head. So I got no problem with 16, and quite honestly, if we're going to cover Texas, it's much easier if they go to the playoff because it's something that people care about. So for that reason alone, I think 16 benefits so many programs that, you can afford to lose to Florida. And who would have thought 5 years ago we would have thought Florida would be the death nail, a loss to, one of the biggest brands in college football, but kind of how it worked out. They look pretty good against Florida State.
They did. Of course, a lot of teams
talking about that.
a lot of teams look good against Norvell's Florida State team.
Yeah, who beat Alabama? But
right,
whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, but whatever. College football's crazy. All right. Before we go, Wednesday. So we taped this on a Monday. Wednesday is the first day of the early signing period for football, and that's typically now when a lot of the 2026, the previous year's signing class, that's when they sign. That's when they sign their letter of intent. They're going to get their scholarships all figured out and stuff like that. For Texas, as of right now, they have the number 7 recruiting class according to 24/7 Sports. It is the number 3 recruiting class in the SEC. Georgia sits there at 2 nationally. Alabama at 3. The Southern California Trojans are currently at the top of the rankings. Obviously, you get these late flips, Roger. We've seen this every season. Of course, these are 17, 18-year-old kids making perhaps the biggest decision of their lives. And they change their minds a lot because they're kids.
Well, now,
so like,
if you're committed to Ole Miss,
right, sure. Right, what are you going to do?
And if you're committed
Yeah.
to pick a school,
Sure.
this is why the notion that they were going to allow Lane Kiffin to coach Ole Miss.
For real.
Wednesday is signing day.
Yeah.
What in the world do you do if you're a recruit and you committed to Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss and he's going to be the coach at LSU as soon as the season's over, and vice versa? If you're Ole Miss, how can your current head coach try to get your team ready with 100% focus, or your recruiting class? He's not getting that recruiting class ready at Ole Miss. He's trying to get – what do you think he's doing right now? He's trying to get guys to flip to LSU right now. He's got 48 hours to get as many players as he can to either flip, keep their commitment, or make a final decision for LSU. How in the world could you have him coaching Ole Miss and recruiting for LSU, one of your top rivals in the conference? So I get all the people that say let them finish what they started, but it's just not practical. And the calendar in college football is terrible. It's the best regular season. It's the worst postseason because of so many factors, including what we just saw with Ole Miss and LSU.
Yeah.
I
mean that's what it is, and I think everybody's in agreement the calendar needs fixed. Even Rick Pitino chimed in from his post there at St. John's basketball.
You got the American Conference championship game, Tulane,
Right.
North Texas.
Yep.
Both those coaches are gone.
Yep.
You got everybody in bowl games whose coaches made jumps because they're not making jumps if they're not at least qualifying for a bowl game. So all that's going down, and these kids are going, yes, we can transfer, but we at least have to either opt out or finish the season without a head coach. It is.
And you bring up the Tulane North Texas game. That game could be for the 12th seed in the college football playoff.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
that game could be the group of 5 representative to the CFP, and they're both going on interim coaches.
It's and there's no solution until there's somebody in charge.
Right.
But the NFL has figured it out because everything is transparent with coaching moves.
Yeah.
You have to announce who you're interviewing. We just concluded our interview with XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a lot easier to follow coaching searches in the NFL, and you think of a few weeks ago with the Sark stories out there. Well, there's not going to be any mystery if this is going down because teams have to reveal who they interviewed. It's not going to be at a McDonald's, in Giddings, where the meeting occurs,
or the Buc-ee's in New Braunfels or something. Yeah.
So it's just a mess, and there's no way to fix it because there's nobody that really wants it fixed.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I know Sark's been pounding that drum for past year and a half now, 2 years. So maybe it gets fixed, maybe it doesn't. But for now, we have to deal with what we have. Wednesday is signing day. Texas has 2 5-star recruits lined up, Jermaine Bishop and Dia Bell. Dia Bell being the one of the top quarterback recruits of the 2025 class. So we'll see what happens. And they've got a ton of 4-star recruits lined up here. Local running back Jet Walker from Georgetown. He recently committed. Granted, it's his 3rd school he's verbally committed to in this process, but I think this one's going to stick.
Yeah, his buddy Caden Shear, the offensive lineman from Georgetown, signing.
He's coming back too. Yeah, he'll come with him. Yaheem Riley out of Anderson here in Austin. He's going to be on the 40 acres. So it's a great day for these kids to celebrate. It's a great day for programs to celebrate, bringing in the next crop of potential all-conference guys, potential college football playoff, participants, that sort of thing. So
even this calendar, though, Billy.
Yeah, I know.
Now they moved it back a little bit. It wasn't long ago. Signing day was the week of the state championship games, and oh, by the way, schools were not in session; they were already out. So a lot of schools didn't have the signing day ceremony because the doors are locked. So they do something with their family, and then maybe they do something in February. And the second part of the equation is you've got teams getting ready for championship games who are also trying to manage this. And then the portal. Fans are way more concerned with the portal because that's immediate help.
Absolutely.
That's plugging the holes that can, take a team that's, maybe on the outskirts of the top 15 into that conversation. And then, continue from there.
Yeah.
And I know Longhorn fans are going to go, okay, what are you going to do at offensive line?
Yep.
Are you going to go
Yep.
get a running back? What are you going to do at cornerback?
Yep.
So who's going to leave? Who's coming back? Things like that. So, yeah, the signing day is great for the kids. It's their moment. They get to celebrate. And then when they get to school, it's 180 degrees because they're just a guy. So that's why they need to enjoy their moment.
Yes. And if you mentioned the offensive line, one quick kind of parting shot before we go, the number 10 recruit for Texas, John Turtini, I'm not sure how to say his last name. Sorry, buddy. The kid from North Crowley, giant kid, 6'4", 270. He's the highest rated recruit offensive lineman for 2025. So maybe that kind of tells you where things are going to kind of play out for the Longhorns here in the transfer portal that's coming up. It's a never-ending thing. But we can talk about all that later in episodes of Horns Report from now until the cows come home. So we'll end this one here. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. For Roger Wallace, I'm Billy Gates, and we'll talk to you again very soon.